Lech Lecha. This week is Parshat Lech Lecha, and Lech Lecha is the third Parsha in the book of Bereshit, and this is a very, very evolving Parsha centered around Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our forefather. Starting on chapter 12, verse 1, when Hashem tells to Abraham to leave the land that he was born, the place of his parents, and to go to a land which I will show you. He doesn't tell him which land it is. It could have been Uganda. It could have been who knows what. And he's basically being tested to see how committed is he, and would he be able to follow, to go into a land that is, like I said, you don't know where it is. It's traveling to the nowhere. Avram is actually 75 years old at that point when he leaves the Choron, the place that he was settled before. He has with him Sarah, his wife. He has a nephew called Lot, and he has with him a lot of other people, which is described on verse 5, that a nefesh asher asu becharan. The nefesh, the people that they kind of made, that they created in Haran. And our sages tell us what kind of people did Avram made in Haran, outside of his family. This is the work of Avram's outreach. We convince people to identify God, because you have to remember, Abraham is always considered the father of monotheism. He is the one who discovered God, and he made sure to share this information and this knowledge with the people around them. And those people who had discovered God and had decided to join Abraham are called the people of Avraham. There was no Jewish nation at that point. There was one man who recognized God, and there was a large group of people who identified with this man's recognition, and they also took upon themselves to serve God and to believe in God. But there was no nation chosen by God. The idea of being a chosen nation by God, that only occurred many years later when we were already in Egypt. To leave Egypt and reaching Sinai is when God said, "Velakachti etchem li le'am." I would take you to me as a nation. But we were never taken as a nation for these 2,000 and almost 500 years, 2,500 years from creation. There were people who knew God. Abraham had his son Yitzchak, who he also had a large following of believers. Yitzchak had his son Jacob. Jacob had 12 children. And there was a world who became aware of God. Matter of fact, Maimonides describes in great detail the development of the people who knew God, and he says that just before God took us out of Egypt, there was very few in the world left of people who recognized God, or the people of Abraham or the people of Jacob. It was about to disappear, the Rambam says. He refers to the little plant. Kimat katan haya shtil shenekar. It was almost very small and tiny, that little plant that Avram was planting, about to get uprooted. Kimat nekar. And then obviously came the story of Moses and the revelation at Sinai. And as they say, the rest is history. But when we are referring to the Jewish people as the chosen people, Ata bechartanu mikol ha'amim, you had chosen us from all people, that actually happened in two stages. It happened at the Exodus from Egypt, when God told Moses, "V'hotzeti etchem otam, ve'itzalti etchem, ve'ga'alti etchem, ve'lakachti etchem li la'am," I will take you to me as a people. And then when, 50 days later, when the Torah was given, even God said, "Anochi Hashem Elokecha," I am God, you Lord, Asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim, And this is the time when we are called Banim Atem Lashem Elokeichem. We were referred as children to God, with all the laws which apply to the Jewish people and doesn't apply to the rest of the world. Like dietary laws, a nation to keep a special diet, what to eat and what not to eat. The non-Jewish world has a place in the relationship with God, but they don't have to keep the dietary laws. They can eat other things and still be considered good people, people which are belonging to God. For example, you can go in America into every McDonald's as a non-Jew and be able to enjoy a cheeseburger, and you will be considered a very nice, normal person. If you're Jewish, there's only one McDonald's in the world that you can go eat, and this is I'm welcoming my friend David Schneider, who just came back from Argentina.
Sunday night.
And he made sure Sunday night this week, 2 days ago, he was actually eating in McDonald's. I don't think in Jerusalem there's a kosher McDonald's. There is? Never heard about it. I know Jerusalem, my mother's kitchen. Nothing else.
That's different.
I was told by your brother that this one is recognized as the best one, even over his, because I said, how about the ones in Israel? I said, this one is considered even more kosher than them.
Even more kosher than the one in Israel. Okay? Mehadrin. But how was the food?
It was let's put it this way, it's the best fast food hamburger I've ever eaten.
Got it. Okay.
Very diplomatic.
Very good. So here we continue with the Parsha. This Parsha, like you said, it's centered about Avram. You're going to have a lot of stories about Avram. And those stories are actually considered nisyonot, which is yonot is translated as tests and challenges that Avram is going through. Matter of fact, the Mishnah counts up Ashara nisyonot nitnasa Avraham Avinu v'amad bekulam. Avraham Avinu was displayed with 10 different tests, God wanting to see his commitment. And there's different versions among the early sages how to count up those 10, what is considered a part of the tests. The first 2 stories is for sure the story that he has to leave his homeland. The second story when his wife is being taken away from him once he arrives Egypt, because there is no food in the land, there's a famine, and he has to travel down Egypt. There's another big story in this parsha, how she's being protected by God, not to be violated by the king of Egypt. Then Avram is involved in a tremendous war, chapter 14. This is called World War, 4 kings against 5 kings, and their names are being mentioned. And at that time, he personally gets involved, perhaps puts himself in danger during that war to rescue from captivity his nephew Lot. And then we have in chapter 15 the most amazing story of all, because this relates to us personally, is when God makes a covenant with Abraham by promising him children. And he says that the children are going to be as numerous as the stars in the sky. And at that time, he's also being told about the future exile and being enslaved for 400 years, and then leaving Egypt with great wealth and receiving the land of Israel. And if anybody wants to know what are the borders of the land of Israel, you turn to Yuchumash on verse 18, chapter 15, when God tells them, Bayom ha'u karat et Hashem Abraham Brit Lemor. I'm only reading it due to the current situation in Israel. So let's remember, on this day, God struck a covenant with Abraham, saying, Lezaracha natati et haaretz hazot. I have given this land to your descendants. Who is your descendants?
Us.
Only the Jewish people. Why? Even though Abraham had a son, Ishmael, but as we see later in the Parsha, God says you're going to have a son Ishmael, but Be'itzchak ikarei lecha zara. to be called and referred to as your descendant, it's going to be who? It's going to be Yitzchak necessarily. So clearly, we are the ones who were given the land. And how big is Israel? From Tel Aviv to Haifa? No. Minar Mitzrayim ad Nahar Gadol Ne'ar Prat. From the river of Egypt to the great river, the river of Euphrates. The land of the Canaanite, the Kniziite, the Kadmonite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Rephaimite, the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Girgashite, the Yebusite. Next story, another challenge. Sarah cannot give birth to children. There is a maid called Hagar, and then we're reading about the story of Ishmael. And the Parsha concludes by the story of Avram, yet going to another challenge when he's being told to circumcise himself, and he is already 99 years old.
And the reason why Ishmael is not getting the promise is because it's the son of a maid.
Take a look on verse 86, on chapter 80, on page 86 in Chumash, verse 21. L'Ishmael Shmaticha, Vayomer Elokim, Aval Sarai Ishtara Yoledet Lecha Ben, on verse 19. Ishmael, Sarah is going to give birth to a son, Vekarata Ishmo Yitzchak, Vakimoti et Briti Ito, Librit Olam, Lezaro Acharav. That my covenant I will establish with him and for his descendants after him. So there is no Esav and there is no Ishmael. And he says Ishmael is also going to be a great nation. But again, he emphasizes in verse 21, by Briti, by the covenant I made with you, about the land and about being my people, Akim et Yitzchak, he was only promised, you have to come back next week, but we're going to learn about the birth of Yitzchak. So this is a very evolving parsha. A lot to talk in this parsha. You can talk and talk and talk and never end. I would like to speak about one little point in this parsha designated for tonight's class. So let's go back to the beginning of the story when Avram is making his way into Egypt. So you turn to chapter 12, verse 10. Vayehi ra'av ba'aretz, and there was a famine in the land of Canaan. After Avram arrived there, famine struck. Vayered Avram Mitzrayim lagur sham. Avram went down to Egypt to settle there, and obviously to settle there, lagur is not ladur. Ladur with a daled would mean to settle there permanently. Lagur is to settle there temporarily. And why did he went down? Kaved arav ba'aretz. The famine was severe in the land of Canaan. He understood that in order to save his life, to preserve his life, he has to go down to the land. He has to leave the land temporarily. Nachmanides actually discussed this as Avram leaving Israel was considered a sin for Avram. He shouldn't have left. But Rashi and other commentaries don't necessarily accept it. They look at Avram doing the right thing. There is no food. You got to preserve your life. So leave as long as you know that you're not getting stuck in Egypt, but you know that your way is to come back home to Canaan, so it's okay. ויהי כאשר הקריב לבוא מצרימה, ויאמר אל שרה אשתו, הננה ידעתי כי אישה יפת מראה את. The Torah tells us when he approached Egypt, he said to Sarah, his wife, I didn't notice it till now, but now I realize that you are an attractive woman. And what's the issue? והיה כי יראו אותך המצרים, ואמרו אשתו זאת, והרגו אותי ואותך יחיו. When the Egyptians will see you, and they will say, it's his wife, they will kill me and keep you alive. Basically, the Egyptians were also careful in protecting and honoring marriage. So they wouldn't consider a relationship with a married woman. Meaning even the Egyptians. Huh?
If she's a widow.
But if she's a widow, then it's kosher. So the one option is to create a scenario of you becoming a widow, you know?
But then how did Potiphar's wife want to mess around with Yosef when she was married?
How?
Jewish.
No,
No, but he said-
say even the Egyptians were careful, but this
yeah,
is
you're
this is demand. And in every demand don't do it, and also in every exception there is always in every general rule there's some exceptions. So Potiphar's
Right.
wife is an exception. That obviously the fact that a story about it shows you that it's an exception. If it would be an
She was
exception,
one of
it
the
would be a
elites,
story.
right?
Huh?
She was one of the elites, right? She was.
Right, but even the elite were careful usually.
Yeah.
So Avram is trying to preserve his life. It's interesting, as we're going to see soon, many commentators discuss, what about being concerned with Sarah? It's like he's concerning about himself. The Zohar actually writes very clearly in the Zohar Kadosh, he writes that Avram had no worries about Sarah. He knew that she has an angel who watches here. She's not going to be violated. She's not going to be put in any harmful situation by being in Egypt. It wasn't a worry. Sarah was protected. The issue was him. Interesting. The Zohar really puts it in very strong words. But now he comes here and he tells her the following: Imrina chotiat. Please say that you are my sister. Leman yitav li ba'avurech v'chayta nafshi biglalech. So that they will favor me because of you. Why will they favor me because of you? Because seeing that you're my sister, so they would like to keep a good connection with me. So hopefully you will consider one of them a good candidate for marriage for the sister. So you like to be friendly to the guys, to the guy who his sister you might marry. And he says, "V'chayta nafshi biglalech," and my life will be spurred thanks to you. So this all makes very well sense. However, when you come to Rashi's commentary on the Chumash, he writes on the words "leman itav li ba'avurech." So Rashi doesn't just translate, so my life will be spared thanks to you. Rashi says the following words: "Leman itav li ba'avurech, itnu li matanot." I will receive gifts. I'm going to receive gifts from them. That's the favored. Itav means they're going to do good things to me. This is the favor that they're going to do for me. And all the commentators are trying to understand Rashi. Rashi obviously brings it to the Medrash, but they're all trying to understand Rashi. He asks Sarah basically to put herself in danger in order that he should be able to receive gifts. Obviously, he's also doing it to spare himself from danger, because, like we said, "V'chayta nafshi biglalech" literally means I should survive. I'm going to be alive because they're not going to kill me. Because, like we said before, knowing that I'm not your husband, so they don't need to kill me. They don't need to Mr. No, Natan, not Bar Natan. What's your first name? Kobe. Like Kobe said, that they don't have to make it into a widow. They can be okay without it. But still, it's very surprising that Avram should add those words, "Lemani tavli," gifts. Whatever the reason is, giving gift should be a reason for Sarah to put herself in danger. The big question also, which is being asked by commentators, is an issue with Avram desiring gifts altogether. And I want to speak a little bit about it tonight. Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, says in the book of Mishlei, the book of Proverbs. Oh, very good. What does he say? He says, Over beito, ocher beito, botzea batza, ושונא מתנות יחיה. ושונא מתנות יחיה. The one who hates gifts, he is the one who will live. And this is a pasuk in Mishlei. I mean, there wasn't a book of Mishlei maybe in the times of Avram, but Avram, as the Talmud tells us, he already kept and knew the entire Torah before it was even given. With his divine inspiration, he had preserved all the knowledge which has to do with later revealed in the Torah. And yet, it says clearly, Soneh matanot yichyeh. And yet Abraham says, Lemani tavli, I would like to make some gifts. What are you looking for gifts? You're looking to live. Gifts and life are two opposites. You can't be alive if you're going to like and to love gifts. The question becomes even harder because there is a story later in the Parsha, in the World War, like that we mentioned earlier, the war between the kings. Avram is protecting and rescuing the booty and the belonging of the king of Sdom. The king of Sdom. And he helps him to win the war. And at that time, obviously, he had every right to take ownership, or obviously to receive some compensation or some gifts for his involvement in helping the victory of the war. And if you turn to chapter 14, verse 23, what happens there? When the king of Sdom tells to Avram, I want to bring you some stuff. Look on page 74, you see, Vayashev et kol harechush, vegam et lot achiv, urechusho ishi, vegam et anashim vetaham. Avram brought back all the possessions, and he also restored his relative Lot and his possession, as well as his woman, the woman and the people. At that point, Vayetze melech Sdom likrato, after his return from smiting Kedorlaomer and the other kings, the king of Sdom comes out to welcome him, right? So you turn down to verse 21, what does it say? Vayomer melech Sdom el Avram, ten li hanefesh v'arechush kach lach. The king of Sdom says to Abraham, give me the people of my kingdom whom you're captured, and take the possessions for yourself. Vayomer Avraham melech Sdom, Arimoti yadi el Hashem kel elyon konei shamayim v'aretz. Abraham said to the king of Sdom, I raise my hand. Basically, I'm taking an oath to God. God who possesses heaven and earth. Im michut ve'at tzroch nal, ve'im ekach mikol asher lach, ve'lo tomar ani eshalti et Avraham. I promise, he says, I will not take from the spoils even a thread or a shoelace. Nor will I take payment for whatever you possess. So you will never say, I had made Abraham wealthy. God himself promised me to take care of me. I don't need you. I'm not taking anything. So you clearly see how Abraham's attitude is towards gifts, even in a time when he perhaps has a right for it. He said, no, I'm not taking anything. Soneh matanot yichyeh is his life. He's not taking gifts. And yet, he comes here and he's ready. Rashi says, Leman asher itav li ba'avurech. I would like for you to give me a gift. I remember it was 1986, March, Purim Katan. And somebody donated a new Cadillac for the Rebbe to be driven. The Rebbe used to have someone driving him, somebody. the Rebbe walked out of 770 to get into his car, going to visit the Ohel, the gravesite of his father-in-law, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, is buried in Queens. Today, it's side by side with the Rebbe's. The Rebbe walks out, and as he used to do, give tzedakah to people or children in the studio, to give it to the tzedakah box. He takes a little peek, sees a new car, takes another peek. He turns to the driver, which was his secretary. Where's the car? So the guy said that Mr. So-and-so donated a new car. And the Rebbe said those words, Soneh matanot yichyeh, the one who hates gifts will live. I'm not driving in this car. Bring me back the old car. And it happens to be that the old car was parked just down the block. And quickly they got the old car. And the Rebbe again, when he came to the old car, he said, this is the car we drove yesterday, right? So the driver secretary says, yes, that's the car we drove yesterday. And then he walked in naturally, and he did not want to ever use that new car. Many times when people gave the Rebbe gifts, his response was, I am accustomed not to take any gifts. And all has to do with this idea. So this is the question that we would like to explain tonight, to try to understand why is it, and how is it possible that Avram, according to Rashi, would be ready to take a gift? There's obviously many other questions that commentaries ask. The question I told you before, Avram was not concerned that Sarah, who is a married woman, is going to be in a relationship with some other guy while he's being taken care of for his gifts. Like, how is he going to deal with that? And some of the commentaries say that Sforno and others, that Sforno was a famous Italian commentator on the Chumash, Rabbi Vadia Sforno. He says that actually the old gifts and the old debate over here is actually a matter of buying time. Avram is telling Sarah, listen, we got to figure out a way of getting out of here. But you know what? You start saying I'm your brother. They're going to want, obviously, to try to convince me to let you marry one of them. Meantime, I'm going to negotiate. I want dowry, how much you're ready to pay. Like we find later in the story of Shem and Dinah, right? Moab, Matan, Arbu alay Moab, he says, how much do you want? So there was the common practice to discuss dowry and to discuss payments and to discuss a financial plan. So let's talk about gifts. Let's talk about lavish gifts. Let's discuss which bank we're going to deposit it, how we're going to move the money from Qatar to Gaza, and from Iran to Qatar, and who knows. Let's get into a discussion. While this discussion is taking place, we're going to figure out a way of resolving the situation. This is what the reporter says. Literally, Abraham was looking to buy time. It was never like an idea of actually being gift. And other commentators say that, matter of fact, he was telling them, I'm his brother. But being his brother doesn't mean that she's not married. She's not married to me. He has a husband. The husband actually disappeared. Traveling to now Egypt and looking to find them. So that is another way of protecting himself while having them believe that there is a husband somewhere. And again, like we said, that even the Egyptians were careful with a married woman not to start up as they would have done to a non-married woman. This is what the Chizkuni says and other commentators say as well. The Rebbe actually says something very original just on this very question. The Rebbe said, Avram, he came to Israel. God told him, he showed him, finally, this is the land you come. He comes to Israel, hunger strikes, famine strikes, he has to leave. He has to leave Israel. He's obviously, not like the Ramban says there was an escape, there was a sin. Rashi learns he felt that God is pushing him out now to make a short trip to Egypt, temporarily at least. So he's making his way to Egypt. When God told Avram to go to the land that I'm going to show you, God told him very clear that I'm going to bless you and magnify your name, and you're going to become a source of blessing. How do we understand the word v'havarechecha? Remember what Rashi said? Right in the beginning of the Parsha, Lech Lecha. It says, "Vayomer Hashem al Abraham Lech Lecha, ve'escha legoy gadol." I will make you into a great nation, va'avarachecha, and I will bless you. Rashi says, what does avarachecha mean with what? I'm going to bless you with what? Money.
Money?
Money. Rashi says, b'mammon.
Because he was poor.
With money. I'm going to bless you with money. So
Wasn't meant to say, I'm gonna bless you with many children.
no, that's a separate blessing. Bless you. I'm going to make you into a great nation. That's children.
As children.
V'avarachecha, and I'm going to bless you. In addition of making you into a great nation, Rashi says, I'm going to bless you with money. So Avram knows that God's blessing has to be materialized at some point. Coming to Egypt and realizing that that might be the opportunity for God's blessing to happen. They're going to want Sarah. I'm going to start dealing with them about money and gifts, and I'm going to end up with a lot of money. And so I'm going to give myself a chance for the bracha, for the blessing of God to take place. In other words, the king of Sodom, at that point, he didn't need money anymore. When the story of Sodom happened, Avram didn't need money. He was a very, very wealthy man. Matter of fact, how did he become wealthy? From Pharaoh. The same story, right? Because the trick worked. As we see later in the verse, the trick actually worked. Sarah was taken to the house. Pharaoh gets inflicted with all kinds of illnesses. And he realizes that he did something wrong. And he calls Abraham, what did you do? Why did you tell me it's your wife? And so on. And then he sends him. You see on verse 16? L'Avram eitiv ba'avura. ויהי לו צאן ובקר וחמורים ועבדים ושפחות ואתונות וגמלים. Right? Avram was showered with gifts because of Sarah. He had flocks, cattle, donkeys, maidservants, she-donkeys, camels, and so on. Later it says in the verse, same page, chapter 13, verse 2, Avram leaves Egypt. ויעל אברהם ממצרים, הוא ואשתו וכל אשר לו, אברהם goes up from Egypt. ואברהם כבד מאוד. Avram was heavily loaded. במקנה, with cattle, בכסף, with silver, ובזהב, with gold. Heavily loaded.
When he left, how did Lot get his money? Because he had many sheep, etc.
Yeah, listen, if you ain't got with a good uncle, so you have a chance to also become a shareholder, you know? It's always about Uncle Sam.
So how
I
did
was thinking, I was thinking, if when God said to Abraham, your land will be from the Euphrates all the way to Nahar Mitzrayim, to the Nile. Maybe he wanted to show him where it was. That's why he sent him down to Egypt to say, he came from Iraq, and he now went all the way down to Egypt to see.
Yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
Could have used a drone.
okay.
So how did you know, so according to this explanation, right? So Pharaoh made him rich, and then later on he said, oh, I have enough. How did you know, oh, this is enough, perhaps earlier? How do you reconcile?
He didn't have, there was no earlier. He came to Israel, there was poor. There was hunger.
Yeah.
He left Israel, he comes to Egypt. What is God's blessings of with wealth? No?
No,
At that point, he's wealthy, and it doesn't have anything. So he takes Paro.
sure,
He comes to the story of Sodom. He's a wealthy man. Why should I take money from
I'm
anybody?
saying you get,
So then matanot yichye. I'm not taking
Sure.
any gift.
you're getting all the gifts from the father, right? And then when the king of Sodom is arriving, say, I don't need it. I'm already wealthy, right? So there is some, we'll call it a bar. There is an amount that he considered, oh, starting from here, I don't need more.
It says.
Sure. How did he know?
I
that
think the
it was
very
something
fact that it says kaved, it was heavily loaded, that means, that it's
different?
heavy.
He couldn't carry more.
It couldn't carry more. Exactly.
Okay.
Matter of fact, there's an interesting commentary which I saw. There was a rabbi in Brody. Brody was in Galicia. Shlomo Kluger was his name. Lived a little more than 200 years ago. No, he lived about close to 200 years ago. He writes in his book. It's called Imre Shefer. I looked it up. He says something interesting. He says Rashi says that when Avram came back, he paid back all the debt. Avram had debt because when he traveled from Haran, he stayed in all kinds of inns. He stayed in all kinds of Motel 6, in all kinds of places, and he didn't have money to pay them. But he was enough, I guess, trusted that he told them, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to pay you back. Now Avram is making his way back from Egypt to Israel, to Canaan. He's going back to all those hotels and he's paying them for all the money he spent. For all the times he stayed in the hotel, he never had time to pay that. So he said that's why I said Avram was heavy loaded. Because usually if you carry your own money, you don't feel heavy, you feel light. Money is good, it's gonna come to good use. When do you feel heavy? When you carry a bundle of someone else's money. So here that he had to pay back that, he said Avram was kind of, it's a peckle. Anyway, the point is, but that's what commented, if Chachamim writes it very clear, in other commentaries as well, that the issue of not taking a gift is if you have enough, why are you taking? But if you don't have, then it's okay to take. Matter of fact, it says in the Gemara, in Brachot, the Talmud brings two personalities. One was Elisha. Elisha stayed in the house that was provided to him by the Shunammite woman. Meaning, people offered him help and he was happy to be helped. But then it was Elkanah, I think, not Elkanah. Who was it that Shmuel. It says by Shmuel that Shmuel came to Ramah. It says in the verse, Kisham Beito, this was his house. And this we judged the Jewish people and they built an altar. What does it mean, Kisham Beito? So the Gemara says that Shmuel used to also travel around, and everywhere he traveled with his house. He had like a backpack, which had a mattress, had a candle, had a book. He wasn't expecting and he didn't want to receive any gifts from anybody. And the Talmud brings the two personalities and it says, what is the right way? The Talmud says, there's no right way. You can take like Elisha or you cannot take like Shmuel. And what is the meaning of it? If you take what you need, like Elisha took what he needed, what did she make them? It doesn't the verse, but nasim lo sham mitah shulchan kisei v'menorah. This is the minimal need when you are traveling to have somewhere to put your head down, to have a table that you can sit and study, to have a candelabra so you can do your work, and that's it. Huh? No, the kids are there. But once you have enough, so don't take. That's the matanot yichye. The point is that there's a possibility there is something more about the story of Abraham and why did he take gifts. I want to take you to a Purim insight. I think it's okay to remember there was an enemy, Aman, today's day and age, and what happened the end of him. He ended up at Purim. He also wanted להשמיד, להרוג ולאבד את כל היהודים. And me, I didn't today there be the same Haman called Hamas, whatever. And the idea is that Bezrat Hashem, you're gonna marry to see hopefully a nice Purim coming up very soon, I believe. How and what?
Purim Sheni.
Purim Sheni, Purim Shlishi, whatever Purim. I think it's gonna be a Purim in the month of Cheshvan. Will be nice. Cheshvan is a month with no holidays. Mar Cheshvan, there's no holidays. Cheshvan, it's the only month of the year that really has nothing going on. Okay, after a month full of holidays, it's okay to take a break. I think the ladies are very happy; they don't have to cook anymore. But the stomach can relax. But there's no holidays on Cheshvan. I think that we're gonna have a big holiday. Bezrat Hashem. It came on an expensive price, but there's gonna be something is gonna happen.
Just like Abraham.
I don't mean necessarily, you know, whatever, you know, I don't think that the news expects it, and I don't know what to expect. I know that something good has to happen. Hopefully, Mashiach will come.
Yes.
But anyway, there's a story about Purim, an insight about Purim. Purim, we all know there is a mitzvah. There's a bunch of commandments relating to Purim. One of the commandments relating to Purim is Mishloach manot ish lere'eu, to send baskets of food, one to his friends, umatanot le'evyonim, and gifts to the poor. Okay, so poor people, that's the only way they're going to survive, by giving them a gift. This very mitzvah of sending a basket of food to a friend, and you have to assume that the friend will accept it. How does that fit with that verse we said earlier, Soneh matanot ichye? I don't want to take gifts. I don't want to take gifts. So you can say, well, the very fact that it's a mitzvah to send a gift, and the fact that a mitzvah to receive it, so then it doesn't fall into this issue of Soneh matanot ichye. Because let's understand for a moment. Why is it that King Solomon says, Soneh matanot ichye? What's the reason that you're going to live by not accepting gifts, by hating gifts? So there are commentaries in Al Shulchan Aruch which say very clearly that if you are relying on gifts, you lose your trust in God. And then it doesn't always work. You know that people are not always going to be the one providing for you. So why are you putting your hands in the wrong basket? Why are you trusting something or someone which is not going to last? For whatever reason, maybe the giver is also going to become a needy individual one day. You can't trust contributors. Al tiftechu b'nedivim b'ben adam she'en lo tshuva, says King David. What do you know? The other issue is also spiritually. Commentaries say the fact that you rely on those people to support you, you will never hold yourself back not to learn from their bad behaviors. If you stand on your own feet and you trust God to provide for you, you take a job. When somebody behaves wrongly, that you feel comfortable enough to say, I don't want to behave like that. You can even tell him, you know what you're doing is wrong. But if you rely on donations and supporters, at that point, I'm not going to tell you what you're doing is wrong. You cut me off of your list. If I'm going to tell you that you were doing it wrong, then I'm not going to get a donation from you. So you never live the real good life. So matanot ichye, the depth of the words of King Solomon is, you want to build a good life, physically and spiritually, you should despise gifts. But by the way, it doesn't say, Alokeach matanot ichye. It doesn't say the one who doesn't take gifts will live. What does it say? The one who despises gifts will live. Meaning, it's okay to take a gift from time to time. Wedding gifts. Every Chatan takes a wedding gift. Hanukkah gift. There is gifts. Chatan gets a gift. The holidays, you send a gift. It's kosher to give a gift. King Solomon says, I'm not telling you not to take a gift. What I'm telling you is, you should despise it. You shouldn't want to be a gift receiver. But if you have to, it's okay. It's kosher. But the point is, if the idea of Purim is to fulfill a mitzvah, you can argue and say, then it doesn't fall into the issue of gifting. I'm not going to admonish him because he gave me the mitzvah mishloach manot. I can still tell him what I need to tell him. By taking the gift, I'm not trusting God. No, God told me that I should take a gift. So it doesn't really involve the issue. But there is a little difficulty to accept this as an explanation, because after all, the fact that your body enjoys it, so you always have to be careful. Any mitzvah which involves bodily enjoyment, you can't say it's not going to impact me, it's not going to affect me, it's not a mitzvah, it's only a mitzvah, it's all going to be taken care of. Mitzvah, mitzvah, mitzvah. The fact that it comes and it benefits your physical enjoyment, you got to be careful to make sure that you stay okay with it. Okay? So what's like at the point? Why are we giving Mishloach Manot? The Rebbe once said the following insight. The Rebbe discussed it. This very question. Mishloach Manot versus Soneh Matanot Ichye. How does it work? This was 1971, and I put him for bringing. I heard it on tape. And he said something very beautiful. He said, Mishloach Manot, what's the purpose of Mishloach Manot? Mishloach Manot is not only the mitzvah to give a gift. Mishloach Manot is ultimately, we celebrate a miracle of survival. Right? How do we celebrate? Let's share. Let's unite. Let me give you from what I have. You're going to give me from what you have. The idea of Mishloach Manot and Purim is a matter of celebration, simcha. In other words, when we say don't take a gift, it also has to do because when you are being gifted something, you feel kind of embarrassed that you are a receiver. After all, you are a receiver. You would rather be in the giver side of society, not of the receiving part. So therefore, it's not a good way of life to receive gifts. But if the gift is to celebrate simcha, you're giving gifts not because you're in need, I am the giver, I need from you, you need from me. We don't need nobody's. We have our food, we have our families, we are okay. So why are we going out from our houses with baskets of food? Just to create an atmosphere of simcha, make an atmosphere of joy. We're sharing, we're giving. Baskets are coming. People are happy, people are excited. Then there is no issue. Matter of fact, you receive a gift, and what does the gift remind you? We overcame this Haman. We are happy. There was a miracle. Then it doesn't involve the issue of hating gifts, loving gifts. It's not about a gift. It's about the spirit of simcha. I think the same is with Avram. Avram did not need gifts. Matter of fact, for Avram to receive the gift is actually an insult. Why? Because how do we know Avram? What kind of personality was he? He was the giver. He was not the He was chesed. He had the hospitality home. He created a Chabad house, welcomed people to come and to learn and to be fed. It was the first hospitality that was ever created in society. It's Avram, vayita alo, vayita eshel diber shava, it says in the Torah, vayikra sham b'shem Hashem kel olam, he planted a eshel. Rashi says, what is eshel? It's the acronym of Achila, Shtiya, Lina, eat, drink, dine, rest. That was Avram's home. He didn't need gifts. If it comes to Paroi, and Paroi is gifting him, what is the idea of Paroi's gifts? Paroi's gift is a statement. What's the statement? I tried to do something, and God stopped me from doing it. God protected Sarah. I became healed because I started up with this lady. But Avram, this is the biggest joy. Why? Not because Paroi was inflicted, because Avram is involved with sharing a message. What's his message? Teaching people that there is a God. Now he has the best story. It's in the New York Times, front page. King of Egypt, inflicted with every type of difficulty by trying to kidnap this Jewish guy's wife, this Rebbetzin. And he gave her back. And not only gave her back, he had showered Avram with wealth, trying to seek an apology from Avram for doing it. For Avram, this is a gain-gain situation. This is what I'm involved with. This is like the biggest simcha. So it's not a gift for the sake of gift. It's like the gift of Purim. It's like a gift which celebrates a miracle. Huh?
Shem Shamayim.
Shem Shamayim, it's Mishloach Manot. This is like the best thing what happened. God's name is famous. I have more money, I'm going to build a bigger Chabad house. I'm going to teach more people about God. And everyone's going to ask him, where did you get your money? When say, you know where I got it from? Paroi. What happened? Oh, you don't know the story. He started with my wife and he got so sick that he was about to die. And he gave her back. And he gave me even money to do what I want. So for Avram, this is not about a gift. It's about the happiness of sharing Hashem's name. Hashem always gives us gifts. You have to know how to protect it. You know this story. They say that there was once this guy who rescued the king out of the forest. And the king was so appreciative and he gave him a bird which talks and sings. That was a most precious bird. And next time when the king is visiting the poor man, he asks him, no, how's my gift doing? He says, oh, that was right away. I came home, made it for lunch. It was amazing. He made it for lunch. I gave you. He saw a bird. What do I know? Sometimes you get a gift, you don't even know how to use it. That should give us the wisdom to realize everything is a gift. Even the non-gifts are gifts. That we should use it in the right way. The unity which Am Yisrael is experiencing now throughout the world is a tremendous blessing. And we should only have the wisdom to preserve it and to keep it for the days to come. And like I said before, to see the miracles and Bezrat Hashem in the month of Cheshvan. Again, we will send Shlach Manot to each other, Ad Lo Yada, by the big miracle of seeing the real good of this whole story by the coming of Mashiach. Speedily nowadays, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're very welcome. What?
You're gonna have a Saudat Purim.
Sudat Purim. Fluff.
Oh.
All the best, guys. Keep strong.
Okay.
We will march. We will march all the way. Bezrat Hashem. Bernard, it's all going to work out. Don't worry.
Thank you, Rabbi.
With God's help. I was just thinking about you tonight.
Yeah, I was
Right,
planning
so-
on coming, but I wasn't
Are you
feeling well.
okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just a little tired. That's it.
Tired. Okay. Tired but satisfied.
Oh, always.
David Schneider wants to know if your wife just had surgery a month ago.
Yeah, she's doing well, actually. So,
And she's doing well. That's good to
Yes.
hear. Thank you. Okay, we'll see you.
okay.
Slide
All the
us off,
best.
only good news.
Okay.
This is your telephone.